to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah, hope I get away with it. Oh, doo-dah, day.
What? I'm wearing a shirt? Quit complaining. Hello, I'm Dan Hollifield. Welcome to Last Man Standing. Stupid O'Clock was pretty good, but we kind of ran out of steam there towards the last 15 minutes or so. Aunt Donna is with me now. We've got Mike Jimmy and Thesis in the chat, although Mike Jimmy has got to go to work here in less than 30 minutes. So, right. No, I can't access my own channel on YouTube on the iPad because YouTube will not let me subscribe to my own channel.
Okay.
God, that's the only logic I'm able to apply to it. I can go to the main YouTube page and go, my channel, my videos, live, add to the playlist, but it won't let me subscribe to my own channel so that on the iPad, it shows up my channel rather than one of Joe Dog's.
I don't know how long I'll be able to be here. We have a very severe thunderstorm rolling in.
That's all right. But that's a very pretty sweater you got on.
Thank you. I crocheted this myself.
Oh, well, oh, wow. Okay. Not an ability I have. Lindsay knits. She is absolutely just worshiping oh God, my brain is going. Sorry, you can't have access to that file. You need to be a administrator to remember those names.
Thank you, Thesis.
Yeah.
I do want to educate you first before anything happens to me. We're going to Terre Haute tomorrow.
Doesn't mean I'll ever be able to pronounce it correctly.
Well, it's like oat with an H in front. Although some people have been known to call it Terra Hut locally.
Um, for some reason, I've always pronounced it as if it had an AU in the middle.
I have never heard that one. If
Terre
you
Haute.
if
Yeah.
you ever watched Family Affair with Brian Keith and the twins
Yeah.
and Sissy, they always pronounced it Terra Hut on there until I think it was like the third season, and then they started pronouncing it the correct way,
Terre,
Terre Haute.
Terre Haute. Yeah. Um, like I said, I should know because I listened to an AM radio station that was located there. Of course, it was after midnight before they powered up their transmitter
Mm-hmm.
to send it however far away it is to get from Terre Haute to just a little bit north of Athens, Georgia. And there are only, I think, three radio stations in the northeastern U.S. that would do this. And the other one was, I think, WGN out of Chicago, I do believe it is. I'm not sure. And the
Mm-hmm.
other one was the X from Mexico that Wolfman Jack worked at back in the day.
Do you remember when WGN Chicago was the only TV station that reached clear across the nation?
Um, no, because I think when we first moved to Athens, they actually had a teeny tiny cable TV system,
Mm,
and you didn't have to have antennas. So we got used to that when we moved out to Madison County. When
mm-hmm.
we had mom and dad had the house built, we'd bought the farm, and not in a bad way. I mean, bought acres of land. Believe me, we own enormous tracts of land. Uh, and there's not even a swamp for the house to fall into. I don't know what we did wrong. But then we put up one of those great big rotating color TV antennas that could pull in stations from God only knows where. But we would watch WGN on that,
Mm-hmm.
and WGN was on the cable stations as well. They
Right.
had excellent monster movies. I got to
When
see lots of Godzilla movies on WGN.
when when I was on AOL back in the late 80s, early 90s, we didn't used to go into the B5 chat room, and late of the night there would be a bunch of us would join together, and we would have people in DC, Kentucky, me, clear out to the West Coast in Washington State, about six of us. And we would watch the same movie on WGN and chat in the chat room about it.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It was a lot of fun.
I imagine it was. Um, if IRC chat was still a thing, I mean, yes, there are still IRC chats. Um, believe me, I'm in one every month that I have time to go meet with the folks, but it's only once a month. Um, I imagine the Doctor Who fandom from back in the day would have a great time sitting there watching Doctor Who premiere episodes live while chatting about it on IRC.
Mm.
Um,
Ooh, Tor is having fun out there.
oh dear.
Um, in the B5 chat room, I don't know why, but about half of the chat room got to see B5 on Sunday night, and the rest of us got to see it on Monday night. And of course, people would come in wanting to talk about the episode, and me, I don't care.
Mm,
You can spoil all you want. It's not going to take away me watching a movie or reading a book or whatever. I'm still going to do it, regardless of what you say. But there would always be people in there going, haven't seen it yet, don't know, no spoilers, and actually put a lockdown on the people who saw it Sunday night from talking about it on Monday, and make them wait until Tuesday to talk about.
yeah, I ran into that um, a while back when it was easy to get the making of this week's Doctor Who episode before you could ever, in the US, get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But, they get all outraged at anybody hollering about spoilers and giving details about stuff they haven't had a chance to see yet. And I'm going, well, if you just shut up and give them an hour or two, somebody will upload the video that they recorded off the BBC and you can watch it. Um, and spoilers, no, I'd watch the making of with the spoilers
Mm-hmm.
because that was all there was to watch. You couldn't get the episode yet, but you wanted to get anything at all. Um um, used to be able to do it with Facebook groups. You know what happened to that? Yeah, I do. Thesis. Um, yeah. What part of German did you not understand? Uh, we knew this when the book came out for the first movie before the first movie came out. I mean, seriously, it
There's
was
a
pretty.
book.
Yeah. It's it was published under George Lucas's name, but it was written by Alan Dean Foster. Supposed to be lurking.
A well-known Star Trek author.
Among other things as well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Alan Dean Foster is the guy that you hire to do your novelization of any movie, film, TV show, whatever. That's not my ride. That's got to be yours.
That's Fire Engine. That's yeah.
Well, we had two of those out front today. Um,
We have had a lot of, shall I say, suspicious fires in Danville recently.
yeah. Um, no, I'm just glad that the two guys that were in the car that crashed were not heavily injured, just mostly um, scratches and scrapes. Although the passenger did seem to be concussed, but then later on, when the police showed up and found out he had an outstanding warrant for not going to court when he had a summons, um I'm standing there and I'm going, "Yep, okay." And he's
Hmm.
going, "Yeah, I did have a couple of beers today, but I wasn't the one driving, so I figured that was safe. I was just on my way to work." So you're going to work drunk,
Yeah.
dude? No wonder you didn't get hurt in a car wreck.
That's like the drunk that hit us. Refused to take the breathalyzer test. Insisted on being taken to the hospital.
Yeah.
Worst decision. Well, after besides driving drunk, that he made that day because when he went to the hospital, the cops could go, "We want some of his blood." So, yeah, he was arrested. He wanted to call his girlfriend to come pick him up. Cops like, "That name's familiar." Checked her out. "Oh yeah, call your girlfriend. Bring her over." Arrested her for with an outstanding warrant. Yeah, of course they were uninsured, so our insurance paid for everything. But that was kind of satisfying that that happened, since we knew
Yeah.
we were getting money out of them.
That is one reason why I'm glad that State Farm has their standard um, uninsured drivers insurance added to the policy that level that I've got. So
Mm. Well, my insurance company, I've been with them. My folks were with them. I've been with them all my life.
yeah,
Uh, Brand new
incoming
van. Well, not a brand new
boomer.
van. To me, it was to me, it was new. Uh,
Yeah,
didn't even
I
have license plates on it yet. Just got it
I
the day
I keep
before.
I keep wanting to have that sweet gum tree cut down, and then I'm going. This is the third car I know of that has stopped at that tree and not slid all the way up my driveway and into my cars.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to leave that tree there, no matter how
For a
much I
while.
hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Now I am going to have to go out there and dig up the cedar trees that have been sprouting up right there. There's all but one is small enough to where I can dig it out and transplant it, and they will survive. My arbor vitae is now the leaning tower of arbor vitae again. Uh, it's only been 2 years since the last guy knocked the thing over. But that I've got to tell you, those are the most hardy shrubbery that you can plant. The county has not been able to kill it with the weed killer that they spray on the kudzu alongside the road. The
Night
guys
Joe.
with the mowers have not been able to do it. Good night, Joe Dog. Um, it's just its growth has been stunted by frequent impacts, but it still comes back. I mean, yeah, it's kind of missing the side that faces the house now, but you have a few cars slammed into your back and see what has to grow back. Um, oh, and yes, I've got to go out there and try and shovel up broken glass and stuff so that I can get my riding mower through there because it has inflatable tires rather than solid tires. Um,
Good day, Mike Jimmy.
and maybe I will once again be able to turn that into a flower bed. I don't know why, because it's just going to get crushed by the next car that comes off the road on its roof.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but basically, this kid, he's coming around this S curve, which is already on a recommended 35 mile an hour section of a 45 mile an hour road, and his throttle cable gets stuck wide open. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you could see from the tire marks. He slammed on the brakes trying to get that thing to stop, but only the front brakes worked. No, no, only the back brakes worked because is front wheel drive. It was a Ford Taurus front wheel drive. They were still churning, but the back brakes were trying to stop the car off the road, down into the ditch, flipped over on its roof, slid over into the sweet gum tree. Um, when I got outside, moments after hearing the screech boom, I knew exactly what happened. Somebody went off the road again. This address is notorious for people flying off the road in both directions because the folks that live around here, they drive entirely too fast. They just do. We got one cop that does like 80 going past my house in a pickup truck, and I'm going, oh, your wife is going to be a rich widow one day, I swear, because you are going to wind up. You will believe a man can fly. Um, I've seen it happen several times, but you know, you could tell. Unlike the other, which was a drunk driver, this guy actually tried to stop, but the car was not having it. And they gave him breathalyzer test. He was sober. Um, the engine was still running wide open, blowing smoke out of the exhaust, um, while the car was upside down. And the reason that it was blowing really dark smoke was the oil pan was no longer on the bottom of the engine. Oops. Aunt Donna froze up and she's probably having to redo the connection. Mike, Jimmy, and Joe Dog are both going good night. Mike, Jimmy, you got to go to work. Hug loose for us. Uh, Joe Dog, good luck with the print. And I will just sit here and wait on Aunt Donna to come back. Otherwise, I'll have to monologue for 2 hours, which you know quite well is not going to happen. And Aunt Donna's having a sounded like pretty serious thunderstorm going on in her neck of the civilization. Which I have experienced here from time to time when the rather sizable thunderstorms roll through and kind of interrupt. Well, I don't want to call it happy hour, but interrupt chatting. But you can't predict the weather with a great deal of accuracy. Otherwise, people would not be blaming the weatherman all the time for being wrong. Um, basically, and I'm quite sure that Josh will back me up on this. You can only securely predict the weather for about 3 hours in advance, not days, because I promise one day I will learn to talk. Uh, Conditions change rapidly. Sometimes the wind speeds up, sometimes it slows down, sometimes it changes direction. A cloud you thought was coming overhead to dump lots and lots of rain on you either goes north or south or splits around where you are and does both, goes north and south. Uh, weather is one of those things it's one of the few things I know of that's worse than government. Um, you can generalize about it, but you can't predict what the results are going to be. Not with any certainty. Uh, and let's see, how can I vamp for another 5 or 10 minutes and hope that Donna is able to come back? I don't know. I will say that Wednesday, Lindsay and I went out and I bought um, the flexible PEX plumbing pipe. I bought 100 feet of it, and the house is only 47 feet long, so I'm going to have plenty to play with. Um, but I will finally be able to uh, turn off the breaker for the well pump and go to the well house and try and close those stubborn valves one more time to keep water from gushing in the house and replace some of that copper that keeps springing leaks. It's 60-year-old copper pipe. And we have a well. It's not like it's extremely pure water coming in. There's a lot of iron and other chemicals in the well water. It's not unhealthy for humans. It's unhealthy for copper pipes. So they occasionally rust out these little pinhole leaks and start spewing water all underneath the house in the crawl space. If it were a basement instead of a crawl space, it'd be much easier for me to fix. But because I've got to basically go through a smaller door than most dog houses I've ever owned and get underneath the house and just be either crouched or laying on my back to do any plumbing, I've been reluctant to do an awful lot. I've crawled under the house and I've patched up bits and pieces where it sprung a leak before. Trouble is, I don't always detect the leaks in time. And by the time it becomes obvious to me, it's become serious. So I've got one leak now. My patch job, the temporary nature of it has become apparent because it's no longer working. So I'm going to just go ahead and take my copper pipe cutting tool, which is right here, this little thing, which you can uh, adjust to the diameter of the pipe and just roll it around. And there's a little cutting blade on this side that, as you rotate it around the copper pipe, you tighten the clamp a little bit more, and eventually it makes a smooth, absolutely flawless cut through the copper. I've got something just like this that'll work on that plastic um, PEX pipe. And the PEX seems to be the new standard for doing plumbing because it won't burst if the water inside the pipe freezes. It just swells up and waits for it to melt. I mean, you don't have any water because there's a chunk of your pipe that's frozen solid, but you don't have to replace the pipes. That's really good. PVC will swell up and crack. Copper will swell up and crack. cast iron will just simply burst. This stuff seems to be pretty good. I've read a lot of reviews on it before I decided this was going to be the way to go rather than putting in new copper. Even if it would be good for another 60 years, and I'm already damn near 70, chances of my living to be another 60 years old on top of what I already am are rather stretching the laws of probability. It could happen, but I'm not 100% convinced that that's the way to go. Plus, this stuff is a whole lot cheaper. 100 feet of it was $35. 100 feet of copper? Have you ever priced 100 feet of copper pipe, 3/4 inch diameter? Um, that's a chunk of change right there. And since my only income now is my pension and Social Security, I'd rather conserve my retirement income than start throwing it away. It'll be interesting. It should be fairly fast unless there's some way I can't use the copper pipe cutter to get one of the vertical pieces of copper where it goes up from the ground and makes a right turn and heads off towards the water heater. Um, I'd really like to go all the way to the well, but I know that most of that is actually PVC underground. It's only joined up to the copper, and I'm not digging down to where the copper joins up to the PVC and trying to do that. That's work, and I'm lazy. So I'm going to try and cut the vertical piece of copper as close to the ground as I can. Put a shark bite fitting on it, put the PEX in the other end, then arc the PEX over to where the leak in the copper pipe is just before the water filters under the house, because we have a water filter under the house, to where that is, and put another shark bite connector where I'm just shoving stuff together without tools. Good to go. That section will never leak again. When I can, I will go through the rest of the copper pipe that I can reach in the house, because some of the crawl space is entirely too narrow even for me to lay on my back and worm my way through and replace every square inch of copper in the house. I'm just not going to be able to do that. And the alternative is tearing out walls. Tearing out walls gets really expensive because you got to pay for the materials to put them back. Let's not be counterproductive. Let's just replace what I can replace easily. And as other stuff goes wrong, then it might be time to hire some young guy to crawl under the house into the crawl space and replace the rest of it. But I've already got most of the materials. So, all it'd be paying is the plumber's labor, basically, or the plumber's helper's labor. The plumber will be sitting in the driveway in his truck calculating and the helper will be under the house with the black widow spiders and whatnot, replacing the copper pipe with the pegs. Um, and believe me, when I say black widow spiders, they are not an unappreciable number. Their name should be Legion, for they are many. Um, so far, I don't threaten them, they don't threaten me. About twice a year, I crawl into the house, I close the ventilation flaps on the outside of the house. I set off a bunch of fumigation cans, bug spray, and crawl back out and seal it up and go, if y'all can live through that, I'm not interrupting evolution whatsoever. Um, at least they keep the snakes down, as far as I know. Um, and they don't come up in the house. They're fine underneath in the crawl space. It's nice. It's dark. It's, you know, we don't have any openings. The cats and whatnot can come through there, or um, rats or field mice can get in through the brick walls. It's just, you know, live and let live, I suppose. Uh, Perhaps I am too kind. In the view of some people, I should be killing every snake that we see in the yard and taking a flamethrower under the house and getting the black widow spiders once and for all. And I'm going, I can't afford to have the house built again. Um, Although I'm having to rebuild bits and pieces of it. It's a housing and urban development project from the 60s. It's made out of scraps left over from other contractors building projects, and it was paid for by the government. So it's not really built extremely well to start with. Um, It'll be all right. Whatever happens will happen. I just have to slow entropy down. I don't have to stop it entirely. Because we all know trying to stop entropy is a futile effort. The best you can do is slow it down a bit. Oh, and now because the guy wrecked his car, I'm being hypersensitive to every car driving by the house. I can tell from hearing them drive by that they're going too fast for these curves. I've seen one lady almost crushed underneath her car when she got thrown out the windshield and the car flipped over on top of her. I've seen the drunk guy smash up against the same tree that the sober guy today smashed up against. Only the drunk guy's car must have been going faster because it got bent in a serious V along the side of his car. The kid today, uh, whatever roll cage method that they use to make modern cars, not totally successful, but saved his life. Um, the police did notice that in none of these car crashes the airbags ever went off. Someone seriously needs to look into quality control for airbag manufacture and installation in automobiles, because I have never seen a wrecked car that the airbags got deployed. Airbags have been around for a long time. I'm sure there are people that have actually had an accident and their airbags deployed. I have not witnessed this firsthand. I have not witnessed it in any accident that I have responded to or been involved in. I don't know. It just strikes me as really suspicious that when you have an accident where ambulances have to be called, the airbags never went off. Not ever. Something's not right there. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I'm just a farmer. Uh, well, an ex-farmer. I worked in a factory. I don't know anything about engineering. I don't know anything about cars. I don't know anything about electronic sensors other than what I have to use in a computer. Um, and really, I don't know that much about computers. I know how to use them. I'm real good at using programs, but don't ask me to put one together. I can't write a program. I can't build a computer. Used to be able to a long time ago before it got awfully complicated. Sort of like I used to be able to work on my own automobile before everything had computer chips in it. And all of a sudden, if you didn't have a chip reader, you couldn't tell what part needed to be replaced because nothing behaved the same way. Um, you couldn't just open the hood and see if you could wiggle the fan in front of the radiator, in back of the radiator, to be precise, and see whether or not your water pump was going out. Can't do that now. The fan is electric and it's not attached to your water pump. Your water pump's still driven by a belt that turns while the engine is turning, but that little wiggle test is much harder to do. I think most of the time the tension of the belt, if the belt's not wore out, you can't wiggle the pulley enough with your hand to be able to tell, hey, that water pump's about gone. Time to undo those four bolts and pull it out and put another one on. Um, I've had to put a couple alternators on the van, and it has a V6 mounted sideways and front wheel drive. So there's not an awful lot of room to work under that hood. And if you want to replace the alternator, you've got to remove a whole lot of stuff just to find out how to loosen that serpentine belt, which takes place of three different fan belts on an old car that I could actually work on. And then you got to remove other stuff that you wouldn't think you had to, just to be able to get that alternator unmounted and Tetris it up out of the way. Apparently, you're supposed to take off one wheel on the front passenger side, take out the entire wheel well, which is one piece screwed in place, and then start undoing stuff. And you also have to take out the radiator. I'm too lazy to do all that. I figured out how to do it without doing all of that. It's time consuming. And believe me, if you move the alternator back into place and it's going in the wrong direction, you got to undo every Tetris move you made to get it back out, turn it around, and put it back in the right direction. And then you've got to be able to put the bolts back in. And then you've got to be able to use a cheater bar to get the tightener for the serpentine belt out of the way while you try and fit the serpentine belt on and not let go of that belt tightener before you do all the different loops and curves that's in the serpentine belt, which is not easy to get right at all. It's not like it just goes around. It goes around and up and over and under and through. And I had a friend that had a Fiat sports car. He wanted to change the spark plugs in it because it needed an engine service. Hello, Richie. He was told he'd had to pull the engine out of the car to be able to change the spark plugs. That's exactly where I'm at in the same situation with the van with the transverse mounted engine. Ah, thank you for saving me for having to monologue for another hour and 15 minutes.
I popped by to drop a like and I saw that and I'm like, hell, I'll go in.
Yep. I don't know if you noticed the other night when I put a comment in, I believe it was the green room. Your story is set up to go in the July Aphelion issue. Now, is it as
And that was
finished?
during the burning is yarn
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Is it as finished as you want it? Because I don't want to. I will wait if you want to add something or change something or whatever. I want you to be happy with it. I'm happy with it.
I kind of left it open ended to become possibly more shorts based off of the same type of thing, um I'm happy with what I sent over, which is why I finally sent it over because I wasn't going to send it if I wasn't happy with it.
All right. Uh, I have not run it through the editor yet. I have not run it through the HTML yet, but I have read it because it's you, and I quite like it. Um, it's strange. It always seems like the folks that I'm seeing in the different chats on everybody's shows and the people that I see here and the people in the green room are going, "Hey, um, if you write a good story, Dan will put it online." Well, yeah, that's the rules. If you write a good story, I'll put it online. Um,
Kind of the purpose of the webzine.
yeah, that's what I've been doing for more than a quarter century. Um, seriously, that's the purpose. So people can learn mostly the big lesson. Read the submission guidelines before you send anybody anything, because almost everywhere has got a different set of submission guidelines. You can't send Life magazine the stuff that's formatted for me,
Yeah,
and
yeah, and
yeah,
yeah, those are there so that the editors can see who can follow directions.
most of the time, yes, it's like the special clauses in contracts for music acts where they know if all the brown M&Ms are gone out of the candy bowl when we walk in, they've also paid attention to the fire code rules for the special effects for the stage. And if somebody hasn't paid attention to the ridiculous writers on the contract, then chances are they didn't pay attention to the safety stuff for the special effects either.
Yeah, a lot of times the safety bits read kind of like stereo instructions.
Yeah. Um, oh, I thought I was going to have.
I didn't mean to go Beetlejuice on that one.
That's okay. Um,
Reads like stereo instructions.
yeah. Plug this in and turn it to 11. Um, Now, I thought for sure I was going to have to beg you for help trying to figure out how to realign all this empty space in that replacement hard drive that I cloned from the old hard drive in this computer. And then I finally figured out the right setting to click on to where it would do what I wanted it to do instead of what I told it to do.
3 Bantam Roosters, a box of Pall Mall unfiltered. Oh, wait. You weren't talking about sacrificing something to the proper voodoo gods. Never mind.
No. Uh, but believe me, if I'd had 2 chickens, the great flea bars would have been appeased. Um, yes, I'm that old. I remember when Muppets were on Saturday Night Live.
Well, I'm remembering a time when he's now our COO, but he was our CIO. We couldn't get something to run right, and I didn't realize he was behind me. I'm like, okay, we need a voodoo priestess, 2 live chickens, and all of a sudden I just hear him laughing behind me. I'm like, ah, shit, that's the boss's boss. But he dug it, so
Hey,
that's been my go-to for a long time since I was still in the factory. If I can't get it to work right now, it's time to get a live chicken and a voodoo priestess.
and you'd be surprised at what equipment will suddenly start working when you get that threat uttered.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Or
it's like
sometimes it's threatening to get a young priest and an old priest, or if you're on a budget, a middle-aged priest, so that you just split the difference.
split the difference. Yeah, just make sure he can read Latin. That's all that matters. Um, and he's got to bring his own book. We're not springing for the book. Ah, that's a cost overrun. We'll have to do a budgetary supplement.
Springing for the book is easy. You just go to the local hotel and go, hey, I was in a room like 343 the other night. I think I forgot something in there. Can you let me in real quick for me to check to see if my wallet's in there? And they open it up. You look in the drawer. You're like, oh nope, I can't find it, and you just pocket that Gideon.
You know how many Bibles I've got around here? Uh, I've even got one with my name on it. Um, that one's been with me since childhood. Uh,
Somewhere around here, I've got 2 with my name on it. Crow has 1 with my name on it.
Now there was one that belonged to my second wife. Lindsay and I made sure that her son got it. I mean, we already had several, so it's not like we needed an extra. Plus, it was his mother's, so that has got to mean something. And he's a very religious guy, so he was very glad to get it. It's probably going to stay in his family for a long, long time. Um,
When I was
he
little, my mom bought me she bought all of us a big white leather-bound Bible that was, one of those that was meant to be, passed down, the family line. That
Mhm.
the damn thing's not a coffee table book; it's a coffee table itself.
Yes, I
Um,
well, my mom's family had one of those too, and they had been putting genealogy information in the back of it for generations. So when my brother got into genealogy and started doing the DNA testing and stuff, that came in handy. It filled in a lot of gaps. We cannot trace my dad's side of the family back past 1700, but mom's side of the family we can trace back to Viking villages in 4 AD. Don't ask me how. They were into genealogy too. That's all I know. But there are written records, and he's been able to trace all the different begats um, down to Mama, and got. I think he got Mom a DNA kit so she can check into. She always wanted one, even though everybody else in the family, my brother, my sister, and I, had gotten one and gone through it. My brother's going, yeah, I'll give Ancestry whatever they want every month so I can get a hold of all these extra records because I'm fascinated by this stuff and it's well worth whatever little bit it costs. And I'm looking at them begging for money every month and I'm going, no, sorry, my brother's already got all this. I don't need it. He's got an entire laptop drive full of genealogy stuff. But the reason we can't trace Dad's side of the family back past 1700 is that's when um, 3 brothers got thrown out of England for some unspecified offense. And knowing Dad's side of the family, it either involves somebody's cattle or somebody's wife. And knowing Dad's side of the family, I'm betting on the wife. Uh, Hollifield men cannot resist the ladies. Even when we're under contract not to. There was one brother that turns out to be my immediate ancestor from that trio that came over. He was an indentured servant, wound up in New York City, was forbidden from getting married, immediately knocked up one of the maids. They both got fired. The indenture was broken, and they ran off to North Carolina, and he became what today would be a millionaire landowner. And I'm going, This was before the American Revolution. Where's my share of that damn money? I'm a direct descendant. Can't lay claim to it, although the family mansion still exists. It's still standing. And there's a couple of towns up near you that the other two brothers went to, and they became very influential. Probably as blacksmiths or lawyers, because seem to have a way with words, and we can work with our hands. Whereas the guy in North Carolina was obviously a farmer, just a very smart one. But that's it. I mean, the DNA results showed that we were related to basically everybody from Turkey around the northern Mediterranean through France and England and Scotland on up to where Mike Jimmy lives, into some little teeny tiny villages that just happen to keep very good records of marriages and names and whatnot. And my little brother traced it all back. So, he could be wrong on some of it. I don't know, but it fits the DNA proportions set out in the result. Only thing he won't accept the out of Africa theory. He's not quite open-minded enough to think that all humanity descended from Africans. Hello, Joe.
Gentlemen.
Where?
Nice to see you.
You
Thank
too.
you for popping in.
Yeah, I was busy gaming for a bit, and I was on a different Discord server, and this kid hopped into the voice chat I was in. He had never played before, so I was helping him through the first few levels.
Add
Where do
more
I go
playing
for
to do.
this? I don't know. I've drank and slept since I did this quest.
Really?
That was my response half the time. Well, where do we go for this? Fuck, I don't remember.
Really? It's been years since I was down this low in this thing. Donna was here, but they're having a severe thunderstorm, so she froze and then disappeared. Mike Jimmy was here, but he had to go to work. Joe Dog was here, but he didn't want me to flash his comments up, so he left. That looks like a bad thunderstorm right there.
Yeah, that's all south of me.
Okay.
Let me disable the virtual background real quick. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Donna and Carl are somewhere like in the yellow or orange area right now.
In the middle of some of the bad spots. And Thesis is still awake.
Even
because
Thesis?
He's got the advantage of being only 10 o'clock where he's at.
Yeah. Oh shit, I need to do my time. Oops.
It's 1:14. Not according to that clock. I'd probably need to replace the battery again, but no, it's right.
It shouldn't be 1:14 your time. You're only an hour ahead of me.
Yeah.
Should be 12:05 if anything.
12:05. Yeah, that's what it says on the computer clock. I see. It was
Oh, you're looking at
run
the how much time we've been in here.
the runtime of the show, and I was going, that's not the right time of day. No, but it is the runtime of the show.
Yep.
So we're doing okay. No, Donna was making fun of me for not being able to get my own channel on YouTube on the iPad
Oh,
because it won't let me subscribe to my own channel. I would have to go through several hoops of fire
hmm
to get to my own channel and go, oh, this is live. Let me comment on it. 10:05 there. Of course, he's still awake. Hey, well, I probably won't be going to bed for a couple of hours yet, at least myself. But it's a little after midnight, which is a nice song. Thank God I don't try and sing. Nobody wants to listen to Kermit the Frog gargling used razor blades, so I don't try and sing.
hey, I fully realized that I have a face for radio and a voice for print.
I do have a problem that my wife will want me to sing along with certain songs on YouTube, and she is fully aware that I have to be extremely intoxicated before I will even attempt to sing. And then it has to be at home, not in public. I'm not a karaoke person. But she will insist, and I will get intoxicated enough to sing for her. She enjoys it. Don't ask me why. And now she complains about being mostly deaf. And I'm going, honey, there's a reason. And then invariably, she will want to have me play the mix of love songs that I have dedicated to her because they're excellent romantic tunes, and she will want to dance. Trouble is, I'm now drunk enough to sing, may not be drunk enough to stand up. Pick one option, please.
How do I have 4 left feet right now? Oh, wait, it's the double vision.
Mhm. Oh, at one of my brothers, I think it was my brother's first wedding. He and his first wife, it didn't work, so they got divorced. I was there, and Mom wanted to ballroom dance, and Dad was on the other side of the room talking farming and tractors and whatever to somebody who realized that they had fallen into a classic trap that only a Sicilian would have been able to notice. Never approach a farmer and ask him how he's going. Yeah. But no, she wanted to dance, and hey, I'm not inept, and I was sober, and it went fine after she figured out I was trying to lead, and she told me, your dad can't dance, so I always had to get used to leading him, and you can actually dance. And I'm going, well, it's just basically turn turn in slow circles and not step on the lady's feet. How hard can it be? It's not like it's a Charleston or something.
Oh. Nah, I don't want to drink right now.
Oh,
I'll
I
be good.
didn't want one, but the ibuprofen is not doing too much on my shoulder. I had to crawl into the house and make sure I had the right diameter for the copper pipe yesterday. And that never stopped hurting. And then the stress of the kid having the car wreck in the front yard today.
Yeah.
That mm, um, I I could probably make myself sick trying to get enough painkillers down to get my nerves and everything to let me no longer notice the pain. And I'd really rather not be sick. So I've been putting up with it as much as I can. I've got a salon pass patch on. It's okay.
Mm.
And I decided a little bit of grandma's rheumatism medicine was called for tonight. Um, Normally don't fall back on that. That's usually just recreational.
Yeah.
But it is a great stress reliever. And I was so worried about the guys in the car and having a yard full of cops and going, oh, I hope the driver's sober. I hope he doesn't have a case of beer in the back that busted open. And turns out the passenger had an outstanding warrant for failure to show up for a court summons.
Mm.
So he got taken off, and the guy driving, he was uninjured and tested sober by the police. So he did not. He got a couple of tickets for the accident, but that's it.
Yeah.
But failure to maintain the lane and driving too fast for conditions. Basically, the throttle on his car got stuck wide open while he's going around a hairpin curve.
Ugh.
Yeah, well, it was the state patrol. They had to write him out a ticket for something. Otherwise, they couldn't justify bringing two cars out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the county cops weren't about to write him out a ticket. The state patrol showed up and wrote him out tickets. Believe me, if you're out here in the sticks, the least amount of involvement you can have with the state patrol, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah.
Because
That's kind of how it is up here too.
once they show up, they're going to write somebody a ticket, even if they have to hunt something.
I saw your post earlier, Rich. If you are feeling up to it, July 27th, we're going to have Gary Shakespeare at the park again. And we're trying to get the band back together for a little demonstration again this year. Hopefully it won't be, hotter than Satan's asshole like it was last year.
Well, it will be July.
Satan's ballsack and a forced march through Death Valley.
In a hot tub. Oh.
Hey,
my wife was sweating through her skirt. If that tells you how hot it was.
well, your wife's hot anyway, Joe.
Well, this is true.
I don't know if you noticed this, but
oh no! Last year it was shit. It was probably 95 and 100% humidity out there.
Sounds like
Please.
down here.
And that was the shade.
Yeah. But we didn't have any problems with mosquitoes because I fogged the shit out of that morning.
Yeah.
I sent a text to the fire chief. I said, "Hey, if you guys get any calls for Twin Oaks, don't bother responding unless it's me calling you personally." He's like, "Why?" So, because I'm fogging the park. We got to play tonight, and I ain't gonna get eaten up by mosquitoes.
I don't think we would have gotten mosquitoes anyway because they can't fly through Jello.
Yeah, that's true. that
That's
air
what
was so
the
thick you
air
could
felt
cut it
like.
with a knife.
That air was so thick you could cut it with a baseball bat.
Mm.
And still have it go. Dong.
Now, why do I suddenly see this image of Nick with the ceiling fan sword?
You kind of felt like Pete Venkman. Slide me. I feel so funny.
And Thesis, I saw that comment. I'm just not going to flash it up because as tragic and as typical as that is, if I put it in the recording, somebody will get triggered. And people who threaten dogs should wind up being severely punished in reality. But
Hey, look, it's Richie ceiling. Oh, wait, we're upside down. Oh, now we're right side up.
what on earth?
My father's present.
Your Father's Day present?
34 inch. Ultra wide.
Widescreen
Nice.
monitor.
So that it's... there's light.
I'm
I did not
using
want the light
something
on.
like that too, but I keep having everything full screen instead of doubling it up to two different programs at the same time. It really would benefit me to do a split screen. There would be a lot
Well,
of
this is
things.
just two panes next to each other. It's still a single screen. But yeah, I also got I saw it as a thing out there called Power Toys, I think it's what it's called. And one of the things in there is I think it's called Fancy Screens or something like that, that allows you to take a monitor and break it up into zones. So, like, if you had like a 40-inch TV and you had like surveillance cameras coming, you could block it into 4 different, or how many ever for for the cameras you have, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that program is free.
Yep. Microsoft Power Apps actually has some decent stuff.
But yeah, I got a 27 for the work stuff that work's paying for. Got a new printer because I got tired of the percussive maintenance on the printer to get it to scan.
Yeah.
Dropping it 6
and
inches.
yeah, and work's paying for the printer too. So, and then actually there's still like $100 worth of wiggle room for the benefit for home office stuff for the year, or actually for the 2 years now, because now it's $500 for every 2 years.
I would say either invest in more printer ink for when that printer runs out, or a backup external hard drive. Okay.
But the thing is, the firm pays for my printer paper and my printer, or my ink anyway.
Okay.
Like, if you're going to be using, all the people that have to work from home, all the time or most of the time or anything like that, it's pay for, whatever office supplies they need for the home. So, I mean, I just got a thing of legal pads, a thing of printer paper, the thing of ink, and some pens. Yeah.
I would just like to find out that corporate has begun using some of the Excel spreadsheets that I wrote while I was working there, and then suddenly pop in one day and go, "Hey, royalty check, anyone?" Um, it'll never happen. I mean, seriously, they've got more lawyers than the Pentagon has soldiers. So they try and litigate me into extinction or submission. Extinction would happen first, really. But there are bits and pieces of those things that only somebody that plays with Excel constantly would be able to figure out. If anything ever went wrong, somebody'd have to rewrite some of the code. And most of it, I wrote, "Hey, when you reach the end of the year, this stops working. You got to figure out how to make one for the next year," which is actually really easy. You just make a copy, blank everything in the data input, and change the dates so that it will calculate stuff from that New Year's for the rest of the year. How many people will look at something like this and understand that's written into the code? I don't know.
So this is something that happened in Indiana today, Rich. I don't know if you heard about this. All the Pizza Huts in Northwest Indiana are now closed.
Like for good forever closed, or until further notice, or
They keep saying until further notice, but it's literally everyone. At least when I go to PizzaHut.com and put in my zip code, the closest store to me that's open is South Holland, Illinois.
What's going on up there?
I don't know. Uh, one of the assistant general managers at the Crown Point location had said that they're closed until further notice because everybody had been let go.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Oh, thesis, I've got to put that one up. Don't know what I'm getting for Father's Day, but apparently it's hiding in my bedroom closet. I'll tell you right now. No, I won't tell you right now. I'll tell you tomorrow in the green room. Caught myself just in time. Unless Foxy's got a really good catalog, it's not going to be that. And the import fees would be enormous. Not to mention the immunization papers.
yeah, this was posted. What was on Reddit? Hello everyone, I'm the assistant GM at Crown Point Pizza Hut. No way to actually verify that, but wanted to let everyone know that until further notice, we will be closed. Everyone has been let go, and I'm not sure what will happen going forward, but this has affected all Indiana locations that EYM owns. And then I saw another post in there that was talking about the franchise that owns a lot of the ones in the region went bust.
Oh.
Yeah.
15 locations. They should be back up in the running in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's a licensing issue, is what someone else said.
Okay. That's a little bit better than my initial pessimistic assumption about human nature.
Owner of the franchise wasn't paying Pizza Hut the franchise fee, so Pizza Hut shut them down.
Oh, okay.
But apparently, the owner of that franchise also, I guess, owns stores in Illinois, Georgia, South Carolina, and Wisconsin.
Yep.
Well,
Well, apparently the owner of that franchise is not Generation X, because they would know if you fuck around, you find out.
Yep.
mm, the last Pizza Hut that I knew of in the Athens area has been an adult novelties, videos, and bookstore location rather than a pizza place for a couple of decades now. They're not doing well down here. Apparently, and I am infernally grateful, there are a lot of mom and pop shops that are doing much better business, making much better pizzas than any of the chains. Um,
Yeah.
only Little Caesars and Papa John's is surviving as a chain down here. And
Well, Little Caesars works in a pinch because you can get it cheap, hot, and ready.
yeah, it hot and ready and cheap. Yeah, that doesn't mean that if you got a sheet of cardboard and put tomato sauce on it, it wouldn't taste better. But
Good,
But it still
cheap,
generates
fast.
a turd.
Yeah, good, cheap, fast. You get to choose two.
Yeah.
mhm. And Papa John's, because for some reason corporate loves those, and they would rather buy that than anything else. But
Yeah.
the independents and the really small chains are doing just fine. But like Pizza Hut, there's a couple others similar to that, even if they've got different names. They're really struggling. Really struggling.
Yeah. I was disappointed when Papa John's finally did away with their promo code that was technically, I think, supposed to be for Valpo University students, but it worked at other locations outside of Valpo, like the one in Lake Station that I ordered from.
Hey,
It was
if
50,
they accept the code, it works.
it was 50% off any regular price menu item.
Mm.
Well, the other thing is, I don't know if they've changed this on the website, but
Oh, good
there's no
Lord.
limit to the number of things you could combine and the number of times you could use a promo code on a single order.
Mm-hmm. Our Pizza Hut closed a year or so ago. They were the type who refused people wearing masks and just being generally stupid and pretty dirty too. So, yeah, well, the plague was a thing.
Hmm.
It was actually, and still is actually real. If people do not want to accept that that part of reality is a fact, sort of like the folks down here that don't accept evolution or anything that they didn't learn in Sunday school. Um, I mean, seriously, Have they ever read the book? There was a lot of begats in the first part of it, and then you get to Song of Solomon, and that is porn right there. It's beautiful porn, but it is porn, and is still a book in the New Testament. And the begats were all in the Old Testament because you knew somebody was getting busy. Because all of a sudden they had to explain all these people. Um,
Well, the other thing too, in certain sections of the South, they don't exactly have family trees. It's more of just a family stick. Um,
um,
That happens in the north too.
oh, I
mm,
know it
Um,
does.
my
I,
my
my
I
wife
my
I love our friend Steph, but
my mom married into the family pole.
my wife often uh, uh, decries the fact that her family tree is a square. She is British.
mhm.
It was not unfashionable at that time, but
Yeah, our friend Steph's family tree kind of does one of these. Just kind of keeps.
it's like kudzu. It just intertwines. Somebody
My
thinks going
dad
to a
and my
family reunion
maternal
is a good place to
grandmother
cruise for
were cousins.
chicks. Uh,
Your dad and your maternal grandmother were cousins.
By marriage, but they were still cousins.
Yeah.
okay.
It's mom's mom passed away. So mom's dad married dad's mom's sister.
Hey, that's not genetically bad.
Mhm.
I am my own cousin 4 times removed.
Well, if you quit misbehaving, you wouldn't get removed so damn often. I
I've met
know.
my family. I don't mind being removed.
As long as you don't get carted off. Uh, yeah. Those
They
nice
give
young
me a
men in the
nice coat
clean
that
white
lets me hug
coats
myself.
coming
And
And
the
they give
to
me a
walls are very
drink that,
soft.
Geneva.
that tastes a little funny, but make me feel really nice.
Oh, yeah, that is weird when you finally figure out that in a lot of European countries, and that I'm generally including England in that, um, in order to keep the family fortune in the family, there was a lot of, uh, your cousin's cute. We're gonna get you married off to her, so we don't have to share this with somebody else.
Hmm.
And they
And
believed if you can't keep it in your pants, keep it in the family.
mm, but enough about West Virginia. Uh, hey, cheap shot.
Enough
I
about
know. I
Cedar Lake.
know. Oh Lord.
I'm gonna say that's
Uh,
most places south to US 30 in Indiana. Uh, I said most,
I
Richie.
grew up south of 30.
I said most. I didn't say all. Crown Point can be exempt.
uh, and it's really weird. I can say that my mom was actually a coal miner's daughter, and it seems like a stereotype, but she can sing, but
Hmm.
never got a record contract for some reason or another. Um, if Miss Dolly knew, she'd probably be working on that. Uh,
Oh. Oops. Oh, shit. Did that the wrong screen. Let's try that again. There we go.
That's why I only have the one screen going. I can tab over to other things, but yeah, I tried to find out why I couldn't find whatever this passcode to keep my messenger up to date.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find it. I didn't know what it was. I never established a 6-digit PIN number. And it said, "Oh, go here and look here and then look here, and that's where the code is, and you can use that on all your devices, and everything will work." And I'm going, those settings don't exist on my copy of this program. I went there, I clicked there, nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. So I guess every time I need to flash up the actual links for Stupid O'Clock, I either have to type it in manually on the iPad, which is the only one that has not asked me for a code, or I have to go, well, send me the one-time code, and it goes to the iPad. If I'm not actually on Messenger at the time, I never can find it. But if I have Messenger open on the iPad before I send the request, it goes, "Hey, is this you?" And I'm going, there's only 3 guys with my name in the entire country, and 2 of them are dead. Yes, it's me. And punch in the 6-digit code, and then it works until I close the program, which as often as I have to basically let it go to sleep or reboot in order to do something else, because regularly have to reboot for updates and stuff like that. It's getting annoying, but I'm going, well, if you're not going to tell me where I can find the PIN number that you want, then I guess you're not going to get the PIN number that you want. I'll just have to do it the hard way every time I want to use this program, which means this program is not going to get used very often anymore, except on the iPad where I don't have to do anything. It just works. Everybody's going, "Oh, we're afraid of Windows 11." And I'm going, well, I'm not fond of the idea myself. It doesn't seem to be following the law of every other version is okay. But they're going, "Oh, I'm going to switch to Linux." And I'm going, oh my God, it's just another OS. It's not some miracle thing.
Yeah, and I imagine
And
they're going to be switching back when they realize that, they're going to have to try and find their drivers.
uh-huh. And everything else that goes along with that. I've got a friend up in Kentucky who is just like the high priest of Linux, Unix, and every time he wants to do something, he has to download a brand new copy of whatever program it is he wants to use, and then install it, and then pray that it works to do what he wants it to do. I'm going, yeah, well, with Windows, I just click and it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And with this Windows 11, what would you call it? cataclysmic threat that everybody seems to think it is, I'm going, well, maybe it's about time to buy an Apple computer. May not be any better. It'll certainly be $1,000 more expensive to get the same stuff I've got now, but it doesn't seem to have bullshit updates that are mandatory or earth shattering or threaten to end civilization if you don't go for it. I mean, somebody please make up your mind. How many times are you going to have the world end in 1 year? Go on YouTube. Oh my God, NASA just discovered the end of the world. Oh my God. This just happened and it's the end of the world. And oh my God, Edgar Casey predicted this. And
But I feel fine.
Nostradamus predicted this. And I'm going, will you?
End of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. Sorry.
That's okay. They're actually neighbors, sort of. They're only like 30 miles away. I drove by the abandoned church where they rehearsed their first 4 albums before they actually made it big. And I've seen them walking around town. I've actually been to parties they were at, although they left just before I got there. Um, Same with the B-52s. Every time I'm there, back in the day when I was, in college or at the factory and single and going out to amuse myself, I'd wind up going to these big college parties or whatever because, hey, go where the fun is and the free beer. And it's like I get there and they go, oh, the B-52s just left 5 minutes ago, man. You missed them. And I'm going, well, that sucks, but hey, they actually helped with one of my art professor's um, art shows at the university, and I did not understand the man as far as his personal style of painting went until I actually got to see everything on display in this art show. What did he do? He'd take these 6 by 6 foot canvases, make the frame stretch into itself, slather paint all over it, then put it in a shower on low and let it wash most of the acrylic paint away, leaving the canvas stained with some of the colors, not all, but it would blend things in. It would seep through
Literally just stained.
osmosis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he'd go back and splatter stuff on it again, and sometimes he'd stick little plastic pieces in there on top of the wet paint that was just in globs and let it dry. So he had little plastic toy farm fences and things that he would put in on the it would I don't know how to really explain it, but the color combinations he was getting from putting the acrylic paint in a shower and letting the wet canvas kind of blend the stuff was really beautiful. Um, I had no idea. And it's abstract art. I'm not fond of it, but I'm more of a photorealist myself, but that's neither here nor there. You look at half of my oil paintings, they look like a still from an animated movie or one frame out of a comic book or something like that. Um, when I really get down into trying to make something look real, it takes me years to be able to get that sucker right. And I'm never satisfied with it. But that's part of being an artist. You're never actually satisfied with your work.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time you get finished with something, the big drawback is you learned so much during the process that you could do it better if you ever did it again. Exact same image would be better the next time. But with those of us that don't reproduce things, that do one offs, you never do that. You never go, well, yeah, if I'd started this right now that I'm finished with it, if I'd started it right now, I could have done it so much better because I learned so much. Um, Joe, you're actually lucky with the wood burning because you can learn by doing and make the next one of the same thing even better than the
Mm-hmm.
first one you ever did. Um, Richie can make the chainmail that he's doing even better than the last time that he did it because he's learned
Usually.
a new trick. Yeah. Um, well, I mean, there's a point in diminishing returns where you get as good as you're going to get on that particular pattern.
Well, there's also sometimes where you haven't done a pattern for like 3 months and you're like, how does this go again?
Mm. But believe me, when I pull up the music program, I'm going, now, how did I make that pattern work before? I know I can use
Oh,
different voices this time, but with the same pattern and make a totally new piece of music, but it's always got the same. I was having this discussion with somebody that was doing um, a very long video about Larry Fast's synergy as a band. Larry Fast worked with a bunch of people I didn't know that he worked with. I found that out from the video. But basically, he's one of the pioneers of using sequencers and synthesizers together for electronic music. He's right on up there with Wendy Carlos. Um, very early pioneer. He's worked with Rick Wakeman, and yes, he's worked with Brian Eno. He's worked with scads of people that I couldn't even remember all the names of. Most of them I've got albums on my shelf by. But it's one thing I noticed about people that do, like I do, instrumental music. We fall into this trap of we have a particular chord progression we like to use, or a particular pattern that we like to use, or particular instruments that we like to use. So if you listen to everything that artist has done, it all tends to blend together in the end. And you get this feeling you could just drop the needle anywhere on the record and their entire catalog would sound like one long song.
Mm-hmm.
I I'm I've noticed it in my own stuff. There are certain musical phrases and certain patterns and certain instruments that I use over and over again, and I can listen back and go, oh, this thing on the seventh album is just exactly the same thing that I did on the second album in this track, but it's got other things mixed in and stuff on the second album doesn't have all the things mixed in. So it sounds totally different, but I can tell it's the same damn pattern. I mean, there's only so many times you can get away with 1 3 5 7 6 4 2 without people noticing, you know. And you really want that 8, but it doesn't exist because it won't go up to the next octave. If it did, things would be a lot simpler, but you can jury rig it. You can manually retune it, but it usually messes up the instrument voice.
Mm.
There's at least one song that I absolutely needed that octave rather than ending the upsweep at 7. I had to have that 8. When I went in and manually retuned everything for that particular chord, for that particular instrument, my God, did it sound horrible. To me. Other people don't notice it because they're not aware of what my brain said it should be. They're only aware of what they hear. Oh yeah, thesis. Yeah. Hammer on and slides. Yeah. There's a thing about great artists only do one thing their entire life. And every piece of work that they do is building on what they've learned since the last time they attempted it up until the last thing they do before they die. And that's as good as it's going to get. That last piece. Doesn't matter whether it's music, doesn't matter if it's artwork, doesn't matter if it's sculpture. That everybody is attempting the perfection that we all know is not actually possible, but as close as we can get to that ineffable something that we all strive for. Yeah, Richie would love to be able to turn out actual mithril, but it ain't possible. Joe, you'd like to turn out the wood burnings that can actually leap off the wood and defend people if they were guardian animals, but it ain't possible. But you can make it look as lifelike as possible.
Yep.
Or you can make it as abstract as you need. I want to get the listener to feel like there is actually a rock band and an orchestra jamming together. I've come really close a few times, but I haven't ever actually got that fusion as perfect as my brain wants it to be. And I probably never will. Almost all the artists that I know are never satisfied with the piece they just finished. And
That's
Yep.
like the dragon picture I posted recently on the Indie CD page that
Yeah.
I did over the weekend. I've figured out that I need to play with the glow in the dark paint more
Mm.
because the horns on the dragon looked like somebody just nutted across his horns, and the glow in the dark's a little spotty. I need to play with it more and learn how to make it thicker. I'm just digging myself
Looks
a
like a
deeper hole, and this is
polypane
not
up
the
in
green
here.
room.
No, not at all. I'm about to give you constructive criticism. Shut up. Get yourself a black light. So
Yeah.
that the glow in the dark paint, you can see how it glows as you're applying it. Forget the other colors.
Hmm.
You're concentrating on that and that alone.
Yeah.
And when you've got no other distractions, you'll get closer to what you want.
Actually,
Yeah.
I needed to buy one anyway, because the other paints I used on that dragon are
Uh-huh.
actually a black light neon paint.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, that'll
Okay.
make it harder to get the glow in the dark stuff right, but no, I've used glow in the dark paint before. It's very, very difficult to judge exactly the right amount. I mean, on that Elvis on the Stairway to Heaven painting, the heavenly rays coming out from the heavenly gates at the top of the stairway, those were glow in the dark paint. And if anybody ever decided to throw a black light on there, those things would radiate out pretty weird.
Hmm.
Um, and then so would Elvis's jumpsuit because it was white, but it was normal paint. Um, I did some weird shit with that one. I really did.
Nope, not the green
The
room. Not going there.
nope. The crowd scenes in the audience in the Coliseum. You know how a lot of people that use oil paint use linseed oil to thin out the paint and make it dry slower so they can mix colors and stuff. I used crankcase oil from changing the oil in my Oldsmobile, and the paint that I used was a flat black house paint that was oil based so that I could use the crankcase oil to thin out the oil based house paint and make it so that the silhouettes were actually darker than the background. So they stood out from the rest of the black background as if they had halos around them, but they didn't.
Hmm.
Uh, hey, you try being 20 years old and getting paid $50 to do a painting 3 by 2 feet. I mean,
No,
serious.
my brain just sitting there going, you know, Elvis for truly to really fit the Elvis persona. Instead of thinning it out with linseed oil, thinning it out with bacon grease.
Um, sorry, my art brain went to crankcase oil, not bacon grease. I
And
was,
then you
I
gotta
was,
have a peanut butter, banana, and mayonnaise sandwich in one hand while you're doing it.
I'd have never finished it. As it
You
is, it
don't
took.
necessarily have to eat the sandwich. You just have to hold the sandwich to to to, to funnel the spirit of Elvis.
You can put it in a Ziploc baggie, and I can hold it for the 6 months it took me to paint the painting. Uh, yeah. Um, the guy wanted it poster sized. He was the one that picked out the Elvis on the Stairway to Heaven, and then I had to make it real for him. And I'm going, okay, I'm getting paid for this. All bets are off.
No, brain, stop, please stop.
Hey, $50 is $50, dude.
No, where my brain is going right now is, it's trying to Elvisize Led Zeppelin.
Oh, come on. You
A
haven't heard.
stairway to heaven. Thank you very much. Elvis has left the building.
Have you not heard of Dred Zeppelin?
You've mentioned them. Don't tell me there's an Elvis impersonator in Dred Zeppelin.
It's an Elvis impersonator backed by a reggae band.
Nice.
Oh, God.
Look it up on YouTube. You will not be able to sleep until you do.
Oh, yes,
In the
yes, yes, I
meantime,
will.
we've done 2 hours, gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming in and saving me from having to monologue past the time Aunt Donna had to leave because of the weather. Let me get the brand thing pulled up here where I can do this. But I appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see both of you in the green room tomorrow night. Joe, I don't know what your schedule is for shows next week. I will do my best. But Thursday, Lindsay and I have to drive to Chattanooga for LibertyCon. So I do not know if I'm going to be able to do a last man standing, but I will be more than likely, depending on hotel Wi-Fi, able to be in Stupid O'Clock with the laptop with a crappy camera and no RAM. And Saturday night, all bets are off. Room party night, no.
Now, are
probably,
John and Joe going to be at LibertyCon also, or?
Joe Dog is going to be there. John should be because he basically doesn't even need a hotel room. He can just drive from it, same as Joe Dog, just drive from his house and be there every day. It's in a very upscale hotel, which if you don't have a room card, you're not supposed. Excuse me. You're not supposed to be able to use the elevators. But once the convention starts, the hotel usually goes, we're tired of sending bellhops in there with the elevator key cards so that some of these people can go up to the con suite even though they're sleeping in Winnebagos in the parking lot. And some people actually bring their own camper trailers and whatever and get a room anyway just for the hot showers. Hey, it's a convention. Chattanooga in June or July, perspiration is an actual hazard.
Yeah.
And it's one of the ones that should be avoided. Really. Is, shower every day, hydrate, try not to use the stairs unless some idiot pulls the fire alarm, which has happened at conventions we've been at before. Either some idiot pulled the fire alarm or Consuite burned something in the oven and the smoke set off the fire alarm. Oh Lord, there was one con where we had to go down the stairs about 4 times in one day. The fire alarm kept going off.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, I think the hotel just finally turned off the fire alarm and said, if y'all burn to death, fuck it. We're tired of doing this. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Donna. Thank you very much, Mike, Jimmy, Joe Dog McKeel, everybody else that showed up that I forgot to mention.
Bladed for being in the chat.
Yes, Thesis, thank you very, very much. Yes. Thesis is always an addition to any show because he's a very intelligent guy whose opinions and insights I value as much as I do y'all's, just in different direction because his interests are in a different direction. And thank you to R. Sterling Esquire for the 5 new subscribers to this channel that your recommendations on your own channel brought in just this week. And I'm hoping those new subscribers are not going, oh, this utterly sucks. I'm gonna unsubscribe now. Look,
I haven't lost subscribers on mine. You should be safe.
We're just here to have a good time and party on and be excellent to one another and whatever philosophical fill in the blank that you want to throw in here. This is supposed to be a party, but a well-mannered one. If you want the ill-mannered party, you have to be a member of Uncle Carl's secret humor group, so you get to show up in the green room where there are no breaks, there are no rails. I don't think I should go any further detail about what there aren't or what there is. That's enough of a teaser.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate everything. And hopefully we'll be able to see you tomorrow. And if not, hopefully we'll be able to see you Saturday. Yeah, next week is going to be weird because of the convention. So I don't know what's going to happen. But whatever happens is because we made it happen. Good night.
Good night, folks.
Take a light.
Transmission overload.
System will shut down. System goes shut down. System goes shut down. System goes shut down.
Hello, I'm Dan Hollifield. I'm the senior editor and publisher of Aphelion Webzine, the world's oldest free creative writing e-zine since 1997. Since then, we have helped over 500 amateur writers learn what they needed to turn pro. www.aphelion-webzine.com and read not only what we've got going on right now, but 28 years worth of our archives of stories. Thank you very much.